A very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Foreign Desk on Benue Television. I am Susan Ayo. The headlines. Ex-South African president suffers explosion from ANC. Greece bans transportation of goods across the country. Plus, Pakistan gets communication app. Now the news in details. South Africa's former president Jacob Zuma has been expelled from the African National Congress ANC. This came after his campaigned for rival party in the 29 May general election. Zuma once led the party. The ANC disciplinary committee found Mr. Zuma guilty of prejudicing the integrity of the party by joining Mkhonto Weziwe MK and has given him 3 weeks to appeal against the ruling. The ANC said in a statement that Zuma's action is dangerous and appeals to extremist instincts in the country's politics. It said this could develop up a political base that may foment social unrest. MK has said that Mr. Zuma was not informed of the decision taken by the ANC. Mr. Zuma, 82, was an ANC veteran but fell out with the party after he was forced to quit as president in 2018 over corruption scandals. He has always denied any wrongdoing. He had been suspended by the ANC in January after creating MK, which now sits in opposition to the ANC-led government in parliament. South Africa's current president Cyril Ramaphosa replaced Mr. Zuma in 2018, promising to clean up government. But in the 29 May election, the ANC suffered its worst result in 30 years, pushing the ruling party to form a coalition to share power. Mkhonto Weziwe, meaning spur of the nation, became the country's third largest party, largely by taking votes from the ANC. It won almost 15% of the votes and obtained 58 seats in the 400-member parliaments. Authorities said at least 93 people have been killed and dozens fared trapped after heavy rains triggered massive landslides in the southern Indian state of Kerala. The landslides struck hilly areas in Wayland district in the early hours of Tuesday. Rescue operations are underway but are being hindered by heavy rains and the collapse of crucial bridge. The landslides are the worst disaster to hit Kerala since 2018, when deadly floods killed more than 400 people. Officials, more than 200 army's personnel have been deployed to assist security forces in search and rescue efforts. Local hospitals are treating at least 129 injured and around 250 people have been rescued and shifted to rescue camps so far. Apart from 65 confirmed deaths in the way, 16 bodies have been found in the Chalia River, which flows into neighboring Malappuram districts. The body parts of the few others have been found. Wayland, a hilly district which is part of the Western Ghats mountain range, is prone to landslides during the monsoon season. State and national disaster relief teams are conducting rescue operations. Several locals, too, have been helping out. Nearly 350 families are believed to have been lived in the affected regions, where a number of tea and cardamom estates are located. A Congress leader, Rahul Gandhi, who is former MP from the Wayandad, is set to visit the district on Wednesday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi posted on his X that he had spoken to Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan and assured the federal government's help in relief efforts. Mr. Modi also announced compensation of 200,000 rupees to the victims' families and 50,000 rupees to the injured. Leader of the banned terror group Al Mohanjuru, Anamjan Chaudhary, has been jailed for life and may never leave prison alive. He was found guilty of directing the group and encouraging support for it through online meetings. The sentence means that Chaudhary cannot seek to leave jail or license until he is more than 85 years old. The extremist preacher was convicted last week of directing a terror organization after a complex operation involving the directives and investigators in the US, Canada, and the UK. Mr. Justice Wall and Chirundu's group was a radical organization that intended to spread Sharia law by violent means so as to much of the world as possible. Chandura, one of the most notorious radicalists in the UK, was caught after an international undercover investigation proved that the long-banned Al-Mahujurun network that he headed was still operating in 2021 and trying to recruit new followers under a false name in Northern America. Al-Mahjuru, which emerged in the late 90s, have been linked to dozens of acts of terrorism, with followers committing acts of violence both at home and abroad. Chaudhary had been at the head of the organization since its earliest days and became leader in 2014 after its founder was jailed in Lebanon. Mr. Justice Wall said that in approximately 30 lectures, Jaduru had encouraged members of the Islamic Thinkers Society, a code name for the Al-Hajuru network, into confrontational street preaching and acts of violence. Jadari's co-accused Canadian Khaled Hossein, who was convicted of being a member of Al-Mahjuru, was jailed for 5 years with an additional year on a year's supervision license after his release. You're watching Foreign Desk on Benue Television. Let's take a quick break. Don't go away. Glad to have you back. The Pakistani government is set to roll out Be Pakistani, a communication application designed for federal officials and employees. The State Minister for Information Technology and Telecommunications, Shahaz Qajar, said that the application was currently undergoing trials runs within her ministry and would be launched soon among other government departments. When in August 2023, the then Minister of IT Said Haq first revealed plans for the new app, he described it as Pakistan's alternative to WhatsApp. Now, though, the government is distancing itself from the comparison. Qajar said any comparison to WhatsApp is misplaced, as there is no intention to compete with the third-party platform. The government's announcement comes at a time when Pakistanis have been facing numerous disruptions while using the internet. The first government confirmed the social media platform X had been banned since February due to security threats. In recent months, users have lodged complaints with the Pakistan Telecommunication Authority (PTA), the country's top telecom regulator, and other internet throttling, and earlier this month reported difficulties in accessing multimedia contents on WhatsApp, such as images, documents, and voice notes. Information Minister Atal Tara, however, denied any problem being faced, saying that it is part of the Global Technology Outer Grill earlier this month. Earlier in February, mobile data services were suspended on the day of the country's elections as well. Qajar, the IT minister, said that the new app would help ensure data privacy and protection in government communications. She said that while it was be launched within government departments soon, the design of the application is robust enough to offer it to the general citizens of Pakistan at later stages if desired. Greece has banned the transportation of sheep and goats across the country to try to contain a highly contagious infection known as goat plague. The Agriculture Ministry said that the movement of sheep and goats for breeding, fattening, and slaughter is banned throughout Greece. In a statement on Monday, the Greek Agriculture Ministry said that the ban had been introduced with the aim of limiting the spread and eradicating of the disease. It said new infection cases had been detected in the central Rizal region and in Corinth in the south. The virus, also known as pastel des petits ruminants (PRP), can kill between 80% and 100% of the infected animals. It does not affect humans. It said that the livestock farmers, cheese makers, slaughterhouse owners, and feed suppliers had been informed about the new restrictions. At the weekend, Ministry of officials also had held urgent meetings with local authorities in the region where the new PPR cases had been detected. The ministry said an investigation was underway to undermine the source of the outbreak, not ruling out suspicious imports from abroad. Greece is also licensed with the EU and veteran services of the bloc member states. EU regulations stated that the entire flocks must be culled once the PPR case is confirmed, with the affected farm then disinfected. At least 7,000 animals have already been culled in Greece since the disease first surfaced in the country on 11 July. Greece has the highest number of goats in Europe. Goats and sheep milk is used to make feta cheese, a trademark Greek product. PPR was first reported in Ivory Coast in 1942 and has since spread globally. The United States has announced that it will provide $500 million in military funding for the Philippines as the pair eyes ongoing tension with China. The announcement came on Tuesday as the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin visited Manila. The two officials launched Asia-Pacific takeover in the weekend aimed at boosting Washington's influence in the region in a bid to challenge the strategic challenge Beijing poses. Blinken described the aid as a once-in-a-generation investment to help modernize the Philippine Armed Forces and Coast Guard. Austin said that the funds demonstrate the commitment of the U.S. to take bold steps to strengthen our alliance. He said that the Philippines to build an extraordinary foundation working to advance shared vision of a free and open Indo-Pacific. Theodore called the aid a tremendous boast of Manila's defense capabilities. Malano said that the Philippines welcomes the ironclad commitment shown by the U.S. to the pair's alliance. We'll take more news after this break. Don't go away. Glad to have you back on Countrywide. Authorities said a commander in a Russian mercenary group, Sergei Shevchenko, has been killed in Mali following an attack by the rebel fighters during a sandstorm, the group said. The military regime in the West African state and turned to the notorious Wanga group in 2021. seeking support in fighting jihadists and the separatist forces. On Monday, the Russian outfit, which has now morphed into the group named African Corps, said it had joined Mali's military in fierce battles against separatist rebels and jihadist militants last week. Sources close to African Corps told newsmen, however, that the separatists launched a major attack, killing an estimated 20 to 50 mercenaries. Similarly, several Russian military bloggers reported that at least 20 were killed in the ambush near the northeastern town of the Tazau 10. In an official statement posted to Telegram, the Russian mercenaries group did not specify how many of their troops had died, but they confirmed suffering losses. This included a commander Sek who was killed in action. The Permanent Strategic Framework for Peace, Security and Development, a separatist group dominated by the Tuareg ethnic group, claimed responsibility for the attack. When seizing power in coup in 2020 and 2021, the military cited the government's inability to tackle this unrest. The new junta severed Mali's running alliance with former colonial power France in form of Russia in a bid to quell the unrest. But the Wenga mercenary group was in effect dismantled after a mutiny by its leader last year, leading to its replacement in West Africa by Africa Corps. Security forces in Venezuela have fired tear gas and rubber bullets at people protesting Sunday's disputed election result. Thousands of people descended on Central Caracas on Monday evening, some walking for miles from slums on the mountains surrounding the city towards the presidential palace. Protests erupted in the Venezuela capital the day after President Nicolas Maduro claimed victory. The opposition has disputed Mr. Maduro's declaration as fraudulent, saying its candidate Edmundo Gonzalez won convincingly with 73.2 million votes. Opinion polls ahead of the election suggested a clear victory for the challenger. Opposition party had united behind Mr. Gonzalez in an attempt to unseat President Maduro after 11 years in power amid widespread discontent over the country's economic crisis. A heavy military and police presence was on the streets of Caracas with the aim of trying to disperse protesters and prevent from approaching the presidential palace. Crowds of people chanted "Freedom, freedom," and called for the government to fall. Footage showed tires burning on the highways and large numbers of people on the street, with police on motorbikes firing tear gas in some areas. Posters of President Maduro were ripped down the burned, while tires, cars and rubbish were also set alight. Armed police, military and left-wing paramilitaries who were sympathetic to the government clashed with protesters and blocked off many roads around the city center. Venezuela's government also announced temporary suspension of commercial air flights and to and fro with the Panama and the Dominican Republic. With that report, we've come to the end of our bulletin this afternoon. Before we go, a recap of the top stories. Ex-South African president expelled from ANC. Greece banned transportation of goods across the country. We also told you that Pakistan got communication app. Thanks for being part of Foreign Desk on Benue Television. I am Susan Ayo. Remember blessed.